How's it going there, YouTubers? This is Mr. Zen over here with another One Piece chapter review. And this time we're going to review in chapter 827. Now this chapter, holy snap. I gotta say, my eyebrows were certainly raised in this chapter. I have to say that for sure. Because this there was so many Disney references in this that like I actually was chuckling at the fact that like I loved Oda's humor, that the way that he's just constantly bombarding all the references in this chapter, and also the fact that we finally get to see how the islands, a little bit of the social structure, as we may call, how Whole Cake Island kind of works in itself. Now, in the beginning, we actually see Luffy and the crew. Of course, they make it to I would say Whole Cake Island, or one of the islands. I want to say it's Whole Cake Island itself, but one of the little islands, because Whole Cake Island and the utopia that Big Mom has established is like one country, but within that country there's like 36 little mini countries around it, or I would say like 36 or 38 countries around it. It's like sort of kind of like almost like a defensive barrier, if you could kind of think about it too. If you think about it, Big Mom's territory is vast, as you can see. Now when I look at Big Mom now, when I read this chapter, I don't really see her as a weak person anymore. Her strength lies in numbers. That's the way I'm seeing now. Her strength is lying in numbers and in powerful people too. So now I know that now I can see how she got to her Yonko level status as well. Because when you look at this chapter, she may look like not as intimidating as you might think. She kind of looks like that Spirited Away person, that fairy grandmother, if I remember correctly, from Spirited Away. She doesn't look intense. She looks more like a very comical in a sense. But when she was mentioned in this chapter, and the way that we kind of see her more, like she has a little bit more lines now introduced in this chapter, we see that she's pretty like messed up in the head there. It's like, god damn, like she was singing. Yes, she was singing along with the whole entire I would say scenery. It was like literally like a Disney, it was literally a Disney film. To be honest, I was not reading One Piece. I was literally reading like a Disney film. I was scrolling down in the little chapter, and I'm literally seeing like, oh, okay, maybe I should start singing along too. Like maybe take out what's that, like the Willy Wonka and the child. Like that's the kind of beat that it had, that Willy Wonka theme. Oompa loompa doompa dee. Like that's how I literally was picturing her theme right there, but more in a darker and it with a satire in it, like around her persona, I would say, because she was like saying that she was gonna bathe like the cake or the wedding ceremony in like the blood of some victim, and I'm just like here thinking like, holy snap, let's not hope it's someone important, or at least let it be a wild animal, not an actual person. But holy snap, Big Mom is actually kind of like, her cannibalism kind of keeps showing off in itself right there. That's what Oda's trying to emphasize. That's why she's a little bit more fearful too, because of the fact that she's still a pirate. She's not that necessarily a goody two shoe kind of woman. No, she's a ruthless pirate that is not afraid to get her hands dirty, and they showcase that throughout this whole entire chapter. And wow. And they even showcase in this chapter the Big Mom actually more of Big Mom's pirates as well. And holy snap, that was intense. Like I actually was amazed. There was these 3 characters that they were introduced. I want to say introduced. I'm sorry. They were like, I would say, like, gave it like a little tease. Like Big Mom was actually sending people to go get some food for the wedding ceremony, and it was like some woman getting eggs, this guy with a tinfoil hat getting flour, then there was like this I don't know, it's like this small creature that's riding like a flamingo that was acquiring the fruit. Now personally, when I saw these characters, holy snap, they literally reminded me, I swear, the woman that also these 3 could also probably might be the strongest people in Big Mom's pirate crew, because Big Mom's apparently must have, like, kind of like how Kaido has this calamities. these people must be Big Mom's personal own like fighting force that she has acquired for herself, and they actually look powerful to themselves because when they showcase these characters, they look very intensely strong as they kind of slaughtered the scenery when they were like I would say when they were kind of teased at the pictures that they shown. Now, what I want to point out is that when I saw these characters, they literally reminded me. Okay, the woman, when you see her, she kind of looks like she has that British look to her, like a long hat, a nice little vertical dress, you could say, and she has a sword. Now, what that reminded me was Pirates of the Caribbean Elizabeth Swann. That's what reminded me of her. Remember, Elizabeth Swann from Pirates of the Caribbean was I wouldn't say she was a human, of course, but if I remember correctly, in like with the sequel of the movies, she becomes like a pirate lord or like a very top pirate. If I remember correctly, that's why like to me it strikingly resembles that to me, like the way that kind of showcase her too, kind of like an agent as well, like a spy, and the way they kind of showcase it there is that like and her sword is like dripping in blood, like not afraid to get the hands dirty. It just reminds me of Elizabeth Swann from Pirates of the Caribbean. Like that's the reference that I get from that little scene, and that's the thing with Oda. Like I said, he just bombards you with so many references. Now, the second character that was introduced, he had like a tinfoil hat, and he was getting flour, right? He literally reminded me of the 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 little metal man from the Wizard of Oz, the Tin Man. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he had like a very generic name, but yes, the Tin Man. He literally reminded me of him. Even the way that he looks, it's kind of blocky, and his hat has like little metal studs. Just looking at him, and he has like a little bow tie that you could kind of clearly see. Like I said, he just reminds you of the Tin Man. Very very fat, very fashionable. You know, like he looks like a defensive fighter. Like I said, and when you think of that, I think the Wizard of Oz is not really Disney. I think if I remember correctly, Disney might have the not the rights, but they probably tried buying it. But it could be like I said, it just reminds you of the Tin Man. That's what it reminds you of, like in my honest opinion. And you remember the Tin Man has no heart, so this guy should be heartless. So kind of get the drift going on there, kind of catching on. Like I love how Oda is kind of like throwing references. And then last but not least, we have the little creature that was introduced in there, like right in the flamingo. Sorry, I was gonna say flamingo. I don't know why. The right in the flamingo. Now, when I was carefully looking into that little creature, he has like a cape of some sort, or like a spear, or something along that. I was thinking of, like, to be honest, it reminded me of Sir Puss in Boots from Shrek. Like legitly, that's what it reminds me of. It could be another mink in itself, because the way that it just looks like a little tiny person, or it could be I would say maybe that's probably maybe might be a devil fruit ability that it's showcasing. You know, like I said, that's what the little character just reminds me of. Just it reminds me of Puss in Boots. Just the way that it's showcasing, so very high and glamorous, very very sophisticated. Like all these three characters, they're very sophisticated. They're not really necessarily I would say very pirate attire. You could say these people are more in control, very business casual, like I said. And versus Kaido's people, they're more bestial looking, more raggedy looking. They just look like they look like they're Vikings, like they just look like Vikings to me. Kaido's crew look like literally legitly look like Vikings to me. That's just it. Like they're just warriors, bred only for battle. And when you take a look at Shank's crew, they actually look more like a pirate crew. Legitly. Shank's crew looks more like a traditional, an old school pirate crew. Everybody drinking, having a blast. You know, that's what it looks like to me. But when you look at Big Mom's pirates, you look at the fact that these characters, they just happen to wow. To me they just look amazing. Like wow. I'm just loving that the way that they're introducing me. And then, I'm sorry for like actually talking too much about these characters, but it's just like I said before, these characters were utterly amazing, and I'm personally thinking that little Puss in Boots reference, I'm sticking with that. I'm personally gonna stick with that because it just literally reminds me of that. Now we actually see earlier in this in the chapter as well, pudding is actually introduced more. Now with pudding, I I don't know, like Oda always likes to make Luffy see like the player that he is, you know, like he's a player and he's getting all the ladies. You know, Pudding looks like she's amazed at Luffy, even though she doesn't know who she is. But Luffy did kind of like almost spill the beans in the chapter. But you know, we gotta remember the fact that Pudding is only like, you know, she's liking Luffy because Pudding is introduced as a chef as well, which is kind of pretty ironically hilarious that Sanji's gonna get married to a chef, you know, a chef with a chef, but she's more of a baker, not really a chef. She's a baker. She bakes goods. She bakes sweets, you know. And Sanji is a chef. You know, he cooks meats. He does poultry. He does fish. He does like almost any kind of food, you know. But Pudding is more like a traditional baker. She does sweets and cakes, pies, you know, like all that kind of stuff. And it kind of goes along with the personality too with Pudding. Pudding was really emphasized at how nice and sweet she is. Now, there could be I could be mistaken that Pudding could actually be still an evil character as she is part of Big's mom's crew, but we don't know that yet. So far, you know, she's just introduced as a downright calm character. And she's so amazed that when she even heard that when Luffy was spilled the beans that he's Straw Hat Luffy, and she kind of like looked at him and said, "Oh my God, it's him." So Oda kind of left us off right there in that little scene. So we don't know what might happen in the next scene. Maybe she will say, "Oh my God, it's Straw Hat Luffy." You know, personally, in my opinion, I think like how in most Oda cases, you know, like how Oda does with females, she's gonna probably be like, "Oh, I don't want to marry Sanji. I don't want to do this. I just want to bake goods." Maybe she wants to run away. That's what I personally think. She's probably the type of character that just wants to go somewhere and just cook and do her own thing instead of marrying. Because if I remember correctly, this is a forced marriage as well. So to be honest, kind of feel sorry for Sanji. Poor guy. He's not gonna get the woman of his dreams. But I also think that yeah, Pudding is might not want to get married and she just wants to pull this wedding off. Because I remember, uh, Big Mom is doing this for her own personal gain. She's trying to gain the Vince Smoke family to join along with the Big Mom's pirates. So I personally think that Pudding Luffy's might how would I say Luffy's gonna actually go ahead and actually try to save Pudding, quote unquote save. That's what I personally think. But yeah, poor guy. It's just making me think that like you know all this hype and that's all going on, but yet I personally think that this wedding is really gonna be called off. You know, it really is. Now, there's one last thing that I wanted to mention in this chapter as well that was going along. Oh, and it was in the introduction right there with the Kamabaka Kingdom with Ikonova and her and her cross dressers. It shows that she's getting ready for something. We don't know if it's a reverie or if she's getting ready for what's it called, the revolutionary dragon coming along and bringing all the revolutionary kings together. Because remember, we don't know what happened to Sabo and Dragon yet. We don't know where they're at. There's no questions that says or any indication as to where they're at right now. But so far in that like the little chapter introduction discussion right there, it kind of shows that dragon is probably at Ikono's kingdom. Ikonos, or whatever how you pronounce her name. But that's what I feel like she's gonna be at. You know, and I personally think that dragon might be in hiding there as well because if I remember correctly, I don't think that kingdom is under world government influence. If I remember correctly, if it is, the world government doesn't really like focus. They probably don't focus that much attention to it, or they won't even mention it too. Except if I remember correctly, it just doesn't look like the what type of one of the kingdoms that the world government would actually want to spend time there as well. Personally, I wouldn't want to spend time there as well either. Or just it looks like a frightening place to me in my in my honest opinion. But yeah, but that's it for this chapter. Let me know what you guys think. I personally enjoyed this chapter. I'm personally liking how they're introducing this whole island, this whole I would say dystopian as well. It looks like a dystopia, but we don't know that for sure. It could be like Dressrosa 2.0 right there, but we don't know yet. There's still more questions to be involved right now. But let me know in the comment section what you guys thought of this chapter. Whoa, and where is Jinbei? What do you guys think about what happened with Jinbei? Is he trailing Luffy right now? Because we don't know where he's at. What do you guys think of Big Mom's? I would say that her top three strongest characters. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of the references? What do you guys think of how they're introduced? What do you guys think of Big Mom? What do you guys think of her devil fruit ability? You know, what's going on? Because, you know, even the sun had a face. Yes, the sun was a living being. So maybe what's the deal with Big Mom's devil fruit ability? That's what it's kind of questioning me itself. It's probably the uh I personally think it's probably I would say maybe not a witch fruit, but more like how do I call it? She's turning people into inanimate objects. That's what I personally think. Kind of like how from Don Flamingo's little subordinate, how it turns people into inanimate objects, but probably like a stronger version of that fruit. You know, it could be something along the line of that, but we don't know yet. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think of this chapter. You know, there's still so many questions to be raised. But don't forget, if you guys enjoyed this content, please make sure to subscribe if you guys love it. And this is Mr. Zen, signing out.